strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal? If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Clarissa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis program. I'd love, that sounds like a...
Old, I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then...
That would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows.
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now, and he ain't gonna fight. I bet you anything, he's not gonna fight somebody as good as John Ryder.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable. We got a packed house tonight. As always, we got my brother D-Style boxing in the house, and we got a nice welcome back. Boxing Wave is back in the house. Been a while. Great to have him on. Got Cholo Trucker. We got my brothers from the UK, Base the Kid, and Danny Glover is in the house. Well, looks like Christmas came a little early this year, guys. Perfect timing. We got the big announcement today. Errol, Spence, Terence, Crawford set for July 29th. Everyone's on board here. Crawford confirmed, Spence confirmed, Steven Espinosa confirmed. So this is not an April Fool's tweet from Michael Coppinger. This seems to be the real deal. So let's get some early thoughts on this matchup. D-Style, what do you got?
Look, I am pumped. I'm locked and loaded for this one. I can't wait for this fight. Like simple. This is a hardcore boxing fans fight, and I also think it's going to be a mainstream fight on top of that. Okay, I heard the UFC has an event that day. Good luck. Good luck competing with it. I'm just telling you right now. I think it's going to be a big fight. I'm going to say it right now. It does over 1 million buys. I'm confident of that. I think what was holding this fight back before was maybe the money issues. Maybe Crawford felt he was worth more than maybe they were willing to offer him. But after the success of the Tank Ryan fight, right, how that kind of broke a ceiling of what they thought they could do, but they ended up doing even more than that. We'll wait for the gate to come out. Once the gate numbers comes out, I'll do my calculations and I'll get a more specific prediction for the pay-per-view. But I have a feeling this is going to be a quick sellout. I have a feeling people are going to start booking flights ASAP, hotels, and whole nine. This is going to be an attraction. It's going to be a big event. This is what the Stephen A. Smiths of the world, love him or hate him, when he's talking about it, it's in the mainstream, right? That's what the undisputed guys with Shannon Sharp and Skip, they're going to be talking about it. I'm not going to watch those guys talk about it, but I'm just saying it's going to be there. It's going to be the topic of conversation, and we're talking about the top two consensus welterweights in the world. I just wanted to see this fight. Christmas came early, right? I guess I got my Christmas gift. I'm good. I can't wait. Crawford's going to knock him out, right? But Spence is still a good fighter. Okay, I'm just saying. I got Bud all day, every day, and twice on that Saturday. All right, that's what I got. I'm pumped. I'm excited.
Wave, you were ahead of this. You were talking about this early today. You were talking about this all day, basically. It seemed like you were like a kid in the candy store about this, man. I mean, I was getting excited and pumped up listening to you getting excited and pumped up about it, man. I mean, you just getting behind this, man, and you were like talking about it. You were already making plans. What are your thoughts, man? Are you going to be there? Talk about the fight, bro.
I'm super excited, and I'm trying to sort out the whole whether or not I'm going to be there or not. This is a fight that I said I was always going to go to. Just unfortunately, I'm just going to be getting off of vacation when this fight comes down. It's my birthday a couple weeks before it, and I'm probably going to go to Dubai. So I'm going to be broke by the time I get back. I don't think I'm going to have any room. I already flew out to London to see Yard and And I went to a couple. I went to the Shakur fight, took my dad out, got front row seats for him for that. So I think I'm done for a while. So I'm gonna order the pay-per-view, do live commentary. I'm super excited for the fight. I think this is the most desired fight that I've wanted since Mayweather and Pacquiao. And I can't really wait. I don't know how anyone can be upset. Of course, it could have happened earlier, but these two are undisputed at this point. They weren't undisputed before. And I think the timing is right. I think that Tank and Ryan just coming off of that great pay-per-view that they just had. And I think it's the right time, man. I mean, it is what it is. I can't wait. And I also have Crawford knocking him out. And
Yeah.
Spence is a great fighter. In fact, Spence is one of the best fighters in the world right now. But I got Bud knocking him out.
And it's crazy, Wave. I hope it don't get like the Pacquiao Mayweather thing. Just because you're riding with somebody, you think somebody's going to win. The other side doesn't like come at your neck for it. I hope it just doesn't get ugly like that, because regardless, these are two great fighters. This is going to be a great fight. If you believe someone's going to win, then you believe they're going to win. There's nothing personal. I hope it don't get like that. But it probably is. It's going to get like that.
It's going to get like that. It can't. These guys can't help it.
Can't help it, right?
We was talking about this on Twitter. Whoever loses the fight, they're gonna get attacked hard. Especially if there's a stoppage. Unfortunately, that's the way it is.
It's gonna get ugly, Wave. You know that, Wave. You've been on here too long.
Yeah.
Sholo, what's going on, man? This isn't just Coppin just saying it now. This is both fighters saying it. Steven Espinosa saying it is finally here. Has it hit you yet?
No, it actually has not. And look, I'm going to go ahead and say this, man. As of right now, not because I'm skeptical whether the fight happens. Don't do it, Cholo. Don't do it. I believe it's going to happen. I believe it's going to happen. Yes, I want to say I believe it's going to happen. Man, I've had it up to here. I was like, you know what? If this fight never happens, I'm A-okay. As we get closer to the fight, I'm sure I'm going to be as excited as everybody else is, man. Because right now, I'm just not that excited. I've been kind of fed up with it already. And I've already, said like, hey, good riddance. If it doesn't happen, let's move on. But I say when we get closer to it, once I start seeing the buildup and all that stuff, I'm going to be very excited. And I'm definitely going to watch the fight. I wonder if what they're going to charge for the pay-per-view for this fight, though. If they're going to, try to do something, $99.99 or something of that sort. So that's going to be pretty interesting. Or what kind of undercard they're going to put to it. Yes, Terence Crawford is already kind of getting up there in age, but I'm glad the fight's being made. I want to see this fight. I've been wanting to see this fight. I kind of got fatigued of it, but the excitement's going to be there once it comes closer to the fight. And I also have Crawford winning the fight, but I don't think it's going to be a stoppage, and I don't think it's going to be as exciting as many people believe it's going to be. I think it's going to be a little bit lackluster. And afterwards, a lot of boxing fans are going to be with like, oh, man, we waited all this time for this. It's going to be a decent fight, but I don't think it's going to be a great fight.
So you think this is going to be more like Hagler-Leonard and not Hagler-Hearns?
It's definitely not going to be Hagler-Hearns, man. It's definitely for a fact it's not going to be Hagler-Hearns, but it's not going to be Pacquiao-Mayweather either. There's going to be a little bit of action. I just don't believe it's going to live up to the hype.
Got you. So I got to ask my brothers from the UK, man, what's the temperature like about this fight over in the UK? Is there a lot of anticipation over there, just as much as there is here? Let's start with you, Base.
Yeah, there is, but I don't think it's doing a million pay-per-view buys like these styles does. I don't think this is a big casuals fight, if I'm totally honest with you. I know us in the hardcore community love it, and we've been waiting for this for years. But I just don't think this is the kind of fight that's going to cross over to that entire generation. I see it more around that maybe 4 to 5, 550 sort of region, which is still very good numbers for them. Neither of them have hit that before. So you combine the two together, it should be a case. Obviously, the fight's 3-4 years too late in that sense. When it was fever pitch back in, 2018, that was the time to really sort of get it going. But Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that, Spencer's finally stopped running, realizing there's no other mill tickets out there apart from Crawford. And yeah, Crawford inside 9. That's all I've got to say about that.
So you think the walls were closing in on both guys? There was nowhere to go. They had to make it at this time.
Not so much Crawford, more so Spence, because those dwindling pay-per-view numbers, there's only so much, marquee attraction you can lose and still remain credible. Hence why he's been out of the ring over a year.
Okay. Danny, you agree with Base? Are you guys pumped over there?
Yeah, we're pumped up over here, and I don't agree with Base, but me and Base, we've disagreed on this for a number of years now. I told
You
Base,
still ain't accepted my bet yet.
What was the
Do
bet?
you accept my bet? £250 that Crawford stopped Spence.
Watch out. Man.
Wow, I've never heard that. This is the first time.
So you ain't looked in the chat. Okay, all right, carry on, keep talking. We'll negotiate off camera.
Okay, yeah, because I had a nap before I came on here because I had work. But yeah, me and Base have disagreed with this. So I told Base that if you look at Spence, always gave the list of how his opponents was going to go, and that Crawford was going to be after the Pacquiao fight, but obviously Pacquiao got beat by Ugas, so he picked up the belt from Ugas, and that after Ugas was going to be Crawford. Base didn't want to believe me, but here we go. I am, the master aficionado, and it's come to fruition. But yes, the fight fans over here are very pumped. I think that it does. If you think that Fury Wilder did 800 pay-per-view buys, now I think this has crossed over to the casuals in some sense, because I'm hearing a lot of casuals who don't really watch boxing that much. They always talk about, oh, when's this Spence Crawford thing happening? They've only just jumped on the hype in the past 18 months. 4 years ago, yes, it was fever pitch for the hardcores, but I don't think it would have sold like it would have sold now. And because now there's a wave of the top guys in different weight divisions fighting each other, and then you've got the YouTube circuit, which has brought a lot of casuals into boxing as well now. I think this is the perfect time for these fighters to fight each other now. They're getting the purses that they want. They're getting the eyes circled that they want. They need to make sure they do the rounds and go around the Breakfast Club, Sway, Ebro, all those kind of guys. And then I think it will do between 750 and 900 K buys, because you have to remember Errol Spence, he has a big celebrity fan base who also like to talk a lot. So I think this will spread around, and I've seen a few haters around going, oh, I won't believe it until I see them in the ring together. I'm like, oh, stop. You've probably seen it on my Facebook chat earlier, Joe, but I was like, come on, like, have some decorum, guys.
Yeah. People are still skeptical about it. Go ahead, D-Style. Jump right in. Go ahead.
I was going to make a point. Look, Crawford himself, even Spence, didn't believe this fight could sell like that, which is why, if you remember when they had their little FaceTime, and or like Crawford was talking about their FaceTime, he was talking about, you guys remember, he was talking, like, oh, everybody has the Fire Sticks now, nobody buys these fights, so let's do this, let's get our big guarantee, because we can't depend on pay-per-view buys. But I'm telling people, after the Ryan Tank fight, the scenery has changed. They now know, no, if you give people a fight they want to see, and that's in high demand, they're going to buy it, right? Like, it's just that's what they're going to do. There's always going to be streamers, like people that stream the fights, but there's no correlation at all with, if you give people a fight they want, the streams bring the pay-per-views down, because or if the more people stream a fight, right, there's no correlation that it sells less. If anything, it's the opposite. All the fights that broke all the pay-per-view records were the most streamed fights ever, right? Okay, Logan Paul Mayweather was streamed by millions of people. It still did over 1 million, right? Pacquiao Mayweather streamed by millions of people. It still did over 4 million. McGregor Mayweather, probably the most streamed fight ever. It did over 4 million buys, right? So I'm just going to tell you guys right now, I know for sure when the gate comes out, when the ticket sales come out, because ticket sales talk about that's demand, right? The market doesn't lie, right? If this gate is anywhere near 20 million or anything above like 17 or 18 million, we're talking $1 million buy ballpark. It's there, right? Why? Because if people are willing to go out of town, buy a plane ticket, go to a hotel, reserve all those things, right? Many more people are willing to go ahead and purchase a pay-per-view at the comfort of their own home. So, and this methodology, as Beeb, it doesn't fail.
Yeah. Also,
I'm
kind of
thinking
like,
five.
sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry. Yeah, sorry. Like you, Boxing Wave, I'm in a bit of a predicament because I've always said that I was meant to be going to this fight, but what has happened is that this falls on the day after my eldest son's 18th birthday, so I need to have a chat with him and say, "Are you okay that you don't really want to hang around Daddy and you want to hang around with your friends and maybe your girlfriend for your 18th?" Because if he goes, "Oh yeah, I'd rather hang with my friends for my 18th than hang around with you," then boom, I'm straight off to Vegas for this.
Wow, Danny's gonna travel for this one. He's traveling.
Hey, I do want to say this, man. While these guys do have some sort of popularity in the boxing world, they do not have the popularity of what Manny Pacquiao had, of what Floyd Mayweather Jr. had when they both fought each other. And that fight was already kind of late, just like this one is. But Crawford and Spence are not up there. They do not have that type of popularity. Yes, I do believe it's going to be a pretty big fight. Every time somebody talks about, oh, man, we don't get the fights that we want, it's kind of really just pointing to that fight for the most part. Yeah, there's a couple of other fights that I see people point to, but for the most part, by far, it's Crawford-Spence. So the fight itself, I believe, will sell. I don't think it does 1 million, but I do want to also say this, man. Because these guys don't have that type of popularity, I don't see really too much excitement for it right now. But when, like I said earlier, when we get close to it and how they build this fight up, then I do believe we'll see so much more excitement. And I do believe for the next month, maybe 2 months, we're going to see people saying, I don't think it's going to happen. I won't believe it till they're in the ring. Call me when the bell rings, things of that nature. So it's good. They're going to have some work to build this fight up to make people believe that this fight is actually going to happen.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like 500 to 600K.
Yeah,
I don't think it does more than Fury and Wilder. I just can't see that, man. Those two know how to sell the fight much better.
Yep.
I'm like,
Also,
I like
wait, bear in mind that was a
600K.
rematch. That was a rematch as well. The first one only did 350,000, and that's the heavyweights. So there was already a story there.
Okay. I mean, I expected to do it more than the first fight because, I think the drama was after the first fight, the draw. Now, depending on how the first fight goes and they have their rematch, because they're definitely going to have a rematch, at least a rematch, if not a trilogy. I think they may do more in the second fight, but I'm thinking like 500K, 550.
I'm going to stick to my guns. I think it's going to do 1 million. I think a lot of the things you guys are saying is things that mattered in the past. Base, with all due respect, they're the heavyweights is not a thing in the U.S. If that was a thing, Tank Davis, Ryan wouldn't have outsold the heavyweights, right? Canelo wouldn't have, and Golovkin wouldn't have outsold the heavyweights. And the records are not held by heavyweights anymore; they're held by welterweights. This is the glamour division of boxing, the welterweight division. Like the welterweight division, ladies and gentlemen, is the glamour division of boxing today, right? Shout out to Mr. Boxing Today. I know he's all about the heavyweights, but hey, welterweight boxing fans, what's the deal? That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I agree. These guys do not really have that much of a personality, though. It was hard to sell out with Crawford. You had one, Mr. Bob Arum, coming out saying, hey, it's hard to make money with this guy. These guys don't really have that big personality. What's really selling this fight is what should be selling this fight is the two best welterweights going at it with one another, which is what everybody always calls for. Unfortunately, it's a little late, and unfortunately, it's made people so fatigued. But hey, look, I am happy that's happening.
All right. Shout out to D-Style. He says, subscribe or die, jab the like. Thank you, brother. So speaking of rematches, we had a great fight this past weekend. I don't care what anyone says. I'm focusing on how great the fight was. I've already put all the other BS behind me. And because this fight was so great, it only seems natural that there would be a rematch. But this talk of Devin Haney possibly going up to 140, Tank might be there for him, which would be another huge money fight. But because of everyone talking about this fight and just everyone from all over all over the world talking about this fight, not just in America. I'm hearing people in the UK talk about this fight, Australia talking about this fight. I'm hearing Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith. Everyone's talking about this fight. And we talked about Wilder Fury, how they didn't do a lot of pay-per-view buys the first fight, but the second fight, they killed it because they had a storyline. This fight has a storyline now. Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko has a storyline now. So I think it would be a natural for a rematch. Wave, do you think that Devin Haney should rematch Vasyl Lomachenko, or do you think he should go up to 140?
I think Devin is going to stick to his plan, like what he originally said. He's basically staying at the division because there's a lot of money at the division that by far, but the names that he got down there, I know Ryan it went up, but I feel like Devin Haney is going to stay and try to see what they can do with a tank fight first. I think he's going to, he's a free agent. He doesn't have to stay with Top Rank. So I think he's going to shop with that a little bit. I think these numbers, I don't know if they're official. I heard 150K. If those are really the true numbers, which I thought they would at least crack 200. I'm not too sure how that fight goes now, with not because Tank wouldn't want it, but just because of how the A-side thing is going to go. Even though he's coming with 4 belts, I don't know if they're gonna go like try to lowball him for the fight and stuff. So I'm not sure if the Tank fight happens. As far as the rematch with Loma, again, it's gonna be like, what are they gonna be willing to pay Devin to do that rematch again? I think if they do have a rematch, I think the numbers will do bigger because all the hype that we thought was before the fight with the push off and all the back and forth, most of the hype is from what happened after the fight and the actual cards that were read. And there's a buzz there for it, especially because a lot of people scream robbery. But is Devin going to hang around to do that rematch? I really don't know. And I think even if one of the sanctioning bodies, if not all, try to order it, which happens every once in a while, is that going to keep Devin down at 135 if a Tank Davis fight is not there? He has plenty of options. Rematch, I just don't think it's likely to happen.
So you're thinking if the Tank Davis fight does present itself, so say Tank, him and his team looked at that fight and they saw some vulnerability with Devin. They know he's busting out at the seams, struggling to make the weight. Do you think that they would probably jump on this fight at this particular time? And if it, like I said, presented itself to Devin, would the money just be too great that he would have to jump at it?
I think they will jump at it. I just don't know if Devin is going to agree with whatever.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you think that if they try to bully Devin with the A-side stuff, that
I
could
think
present problems.
if any time that Tank and Team Tank, the Mayweather promotions have at any time had a chance or any opportunity to fight Devin Haney, it's now. I mean, all the hype, all the people that actually want. I mean, he has adopted this villain role, and then just the flaws. People are looking at it like straight left hands. Tank hit him with one of those, he's going to sleep. Tank is going to look at it like, oh, he's food right now. And plus, people are going to want me to win because they don't like this guy now. I think I've gotten a lot of comments like, oh, I want Shakur or Devin to knock him out. I think that's the vibe. And I think there's a great chance of that fight happening as long as the money is right on both ends.
Got you. Cholo, do you think that there should be a rematch, or do you think Devin should go for the big money with Tank?
I would love to see a rematch, but we got to take a few things into consideration here. And one of those things is that the weigh-in took place, the actual true weigh-in took place at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And at that time, Haney did not make weight when he first stepped on the scales. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but he did not make weight. He actually came in over. He came in at 135.1. He had to strip down completely naked to actually make the weight. That says something. Giving all that time, I'm not talking about the ceremonial weigh-ins that they had afterwards, but giving all that time for him to rehydrate, are they going to be willing to do that? Is he going to be asking for that if he sticks around at 135? Him not making, him struggling, and giving that much time to rehydrate can only tell me that he's really struggling to make 135. For a rematch against Lomachenko, I'm not sure that's sexy enough for him to stick around and do it again with Loma. Maybe for a tank fight. However, you know, if they look at each other, Bill Haney and Devin, and they're like, hey, you know, I didn't perform too well because I was drained. I had to drain myself so much. They got to think about that as well. Do I want to see a rematch? Absolutely, I want to see a rematch. However, maybe it's time for him to move up to 140. I get it. He's probably going to get a lot of backlash, but I will say this. If he does stick around at 135, he's probably going to get much more backlash for not giving Loma a rematch, as opposed to saying, look, I got to move on. My body just can't do this anymore. And also, I mean, just giving him a little bit of a way out to say, yeah, I didn't perform too well because it's tough for me to make 135 and move up to 140 and never look at 135 again. Because if he sticks at 135 and decides to fight Tank or Shakur, you're just going to get more backlash, man, for not using one of those fights at 135 against Loma. So I would say, Devin, look, it depends what you want. You want this to kind of go away and fade away, go up to 140 and say you struggled, man, in that fight to make the weight, and don't look back at 135 anymore.
Yeah. And to Wave's point, and to your point, you kind of tied it in with Wave's point, basically, is if he does fight Tank, I can almost guarantee you that weigh-in ain't going to be at 9 in the morning. That'll probably be at 3 in the afternoon. Yeah. You know how they move over there. You know they ain't going to go for that. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Base, if you had it your way and you were in team Devin Haney's camp, what would you do?
I'm moving up if it's me. Look, the thing is, the rematch, yes, I feel like it kind of does deserve it to clear up all the, you know, the narratives and whatever. But considering that I had him winning the fight anyway, I'm happy with the judge's decision. So I don't particularly care. And if you actually notice, Loma and his team, none of them have actually asked for a rematch. What they've asked for is to be positioned as #1 contender through all the different sanctioning bodies, because they know those belts are about to get fragmented. So they just want to be in position to be able to pick one up and then maybe decide to go again. So with regards to this, as far as I'm concerned, it's health before everything else, because you can make money as long as you're healthy. You can try and make money in spite of health, and then that just shortens your career and your opportunities down the line. He needs to move up to 140, even if he decides to say, you know what, let me have a couple of catchweight fights to start off with and have them at like 137 or something, just to give himself that extra room, because obviously he can just about make 135. So 136, 137 should be fair enough. And if Loma wants to have a rematch at that weight, just to clear it up for that, fine. If Tank will probably accept a catchweight, I mean, he's done it before. So he doesn't really care about undisputed and belts. He's already said belts don't matter. Him and Ryan said the exact same thing. So he's not going to be caring about undisputed. And let's not even forget, you want to sit around waiting for a Tank fight. He's on house arrest for the next 3+ months. We don't actually know when he'll be ready to fight again. Do you really want to be hanging around, waiting around, trying to figure out what's going to happen, and if you actually get a fight with him and then have it at 135, and then you know there will be a rehydration clause. So all of that's going to be in the contract. So to me, 140, at the end of the day, Ryan Garcia's up there. He's still with the zone. You can go back to the zone if you want. You can stay with Top Rank. Teofimo Lopez is over there. Those are 2 fights that you were supposed to have like a couple years back anyway. There's still a lot of money and mileage in those fights. and then you can just find some other guys while you're acclimatized to the weight, then go after a couple belts. So for me, health first and then money second. So move up to 140.
Real quick question for you. So Shakur is ranked #1 by the WBA. Do you think with these petitions, do you think that the WBA is just gonna put Loma over Shakur after Loma just lost? What do you think about that, and how do you think that plays out?
I think Shakur's #1 with the WBC. I think he's WBC mandatory.
Okay, wasn't sure if it was WBC or WB. I thought it was WBA.
Yeah.
But
No, I
someone
think
said
it's
the WBA.
WBC because that's when he
Okay.
fought Shirashino Yoshino. I think it was for the WBC mandatory. But I mean, well, look, he's not gonna be happy about that. He wouldn't accept it. And that because he's already mandatory, while it hasn't been called, they're not going to. They can't now replace him as mandatory up until the time as he's not available to take it. Obviously he was upset because he knew that if Devin won that fight, even though he thought Devin was going to win, but then he's not going to get a chance at undisputed. He's going to have to go belt collecting because Devin's not going to fight him at 135. It doesn't make any sense. 140, 147 when they're both like 2, 3, 4 years older than they are now. But I mean, look, ultimately, Shakur might as well just fight Loma to clean up any confusion. If they want the petitions to be #1 with all the others, then they can do like one of those. They can do the joint mandatory, which some of the sanctioning bodies do, whereby they say, well, you're the mandatory for the WBC and the IBF together, or whatever, or the WBO. So those two fight each other towards the back end of the year, clean up who's gonna take the next crack at the belts, and Devin again move up to 140. Get right, get healthy, and let's see how you do up there.
Gotcha. Danny, what do you think Devin should do next, and what would you like him to do next?
Well, I agree with most of you guys. I think that he needs to go up to 140. I've said for a while that his head's too big for his body. Yes, he did look better at the last weigh-in compared to the Kambosos 2-1, but you can still see he's struggling. Hence the nervous energy he felt he needed to push and sort of run off after the weigh-in. And he's got enough opponents up at 140. Is Teofimo Lopez, Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor, Ryan Garcia. And if he does want the Tank fight, he can have it at a catch weight of, say, 138. But Tank probably want it a bit lower, or he might not feel like doing the 138 anyway. But I think Devin Haney's won the belt. He's won undisputed, defended it twice now, so he'll be automatically a mandatory up at 140 when he goes up there anyway for a belt. So yeah, he can just go on to his second weight class. I don't think, and what I've noticed is that a lot of people who did have Lomachenko winning on the night, i.e. Tim Bradley, Shakur Stevenson, I've noticed that when they've watched it back now, they've all changed their tune. So what was being disputed is now not being so disputed by a lot of people who've managed to watch the rerun back without, the hype and the commentary, or with maybe looking at it in bad faith, because Devin Haney's 2 fights prior, he didn't really get touched in the Kambosos fight. I think people was a bit shocked that he was getting tagged, and I think what he does need to do in future is definitely get rid of that silly hairstyle, because anytime he did get touched, it was making every shot look 4 times worse than it really was. But yeah, he needs to. I think 140 got there. There's enough opponents up there where, and then as Bay said, guys like Shakur Stevenson, they'll be moving up in the weights anyway, and they'll probably catch each other on the rebound up at 140 or 147 in, say, 3-4 years time when they're both still in their 20s. So there's no rush for it really.
Dan, let me ask you a quick question, because and this is totally anecdotal, but a lot of people that I know in the UK that I interact with, a lot of them had Devin Haney winning this fight. In your circle, what was the general consensus on who won this fight?
It was a mixed bag, because I scored it on the night. I was writing it round by round, and I had it 115, 114 Lomachencko, but I haven't actually managed to watch it back. But a lot of people who did score it for Loma changed to Haney, or people who did have it for Haney watched it back and probably had it a bit wider. Plus, there was a lot of swing rounds in a lot of people's cards. So even there was a guy called KG. He said that the first 8 rounds, he couldn't decide who was winning those rounds, but he said it was a robbery that Haney won. But then what I'd say is, if you couldn't decide who was winning those first 8 rounds, who's to say that those first 8 rounds wasn't going to get the rub of the green to the champion on his home turf? So he could have been 8 rounds up already if you're saying all of those were swing rounds. So yeah, I think most people are now starting to come off of that robbery train, and people are getting a bit more educated. A lot of the casuals are getting a bit more educated to realize that a close decision is not a robbery. And you also get a lot of casuals saying, "Oh, it should have been a split decision." And what you have to realize is a split decision has no bearing on whether a fight was close or not. So if you win 115, 113 on all 3 judges' scorecards, that doesn't mean anything more different than if 2 judges gave you it and 1 judge didn't. But it's about the casuals getting a bit more educated. And I think they are step by step by the hardcore conglomerates.
Okay. D-Style, I know how you're going to answer this question, but I want you to kind of explain why you feel the way you feel about it. Haney Lomachenko rematch.
Not only do I think Haney should take the rematch, I would say about 90% or more percent positive this rematch is going to happen. Right? I mean, that's just how I feel. I don't think the Tank side. Like the only swerve that could happen is if the Tank side makes a very lucrative offer to Haney. That is the money fight of the division for Haney, right? I mean, Tank's the money man at 135, without a shadow of a doubt. But I just don't think Tank and his people want Tank to fight Devin Haney next. I could be wrong. And if that's the case, the Loma rematch will happen. What is Haney going to do? What are his options? They asked Eddie Hearn. Will you work with Haney again? If he goes to 140, he said, Haney's expensive, he said. I would offer him Prograves. Okay. Who's he going to fight? I mean, it's still with Top Ring, but he's going to fight Shakur next. People say Loma's not know. Less people know Shakur. And you could argue a more dangerous fight. Let's look at and I'm not saying that this was by design. It's coincidental, but let's look at the resume of Haney for a little bit. All right. Loma, little guy that moved up from divisions. Right? Gamboa, little guy that moved up from divisions. Jojo, little guy that moved up from divisions. Lenatus came from lower divisions. He was knocked out in lower divisions. Right? So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a guy that's been fighting. Like the hardest puncher he's ever fought is probably Lenatus. That's probably the hardest puncher he's ever fought. Because Loma, as good as he is not a puncher. Never has been. He's solid. He knocked out Nakatani. I'm not saying he's feather-fisted either, but what I'm saying is, are they going to put him in there with a southpaw monster puncher like Tank? Right now? Unless the money's really good, I doubt it. Like, I honestly doubt it. Like that. And not only that, even without knowing that, I still don't think the Tank side will come to the table as of right now. I don't think they're ready for it. The fight that makes sense for the biggest reward with a good calculated risk is the Lomachenko rematch. It's the fight people want to see. And these are the types of fights that get rematches, the controversial ones. Floyd, people are saying Castillo beat me. Let's run it back. Oh, some of you think Maidana beat me. Let's run it back. Right? If there's ever a time to do rematches, it's not when it's in a contract, and we got to see it again like the Cambojas fight because it's in a contract, okay? The time to see the rematches are when it's a close fight like this one. And I think this is it was a really close fight. It's a fight that should happen. It was fought at a high level. It wasn't some boring fight that nobody wants to see again, right? It was an exciting fight. I think it makes perfect sense. I know emotions are high right now. They're going to be saying what they're saying, but I think the Haney side knows if we move up to 140, our options are tough. Like well, they'd rather battle the Scale and Loma than a Pro Graves or a Josh Taylor, in my opinion, because those guys are going to land, and they're a lot bigger punchers than the dudes you've been fighting. It's not even close. And Haney, people could say what they want. I don't think he's the same fighter in the second half. He's not. He's not the same fighter. Not a lightweight anyway. Now, one more thing, and I'll deal with this. One argument that could be made, okay, is this. Jojo made this argument, right? After his fight, they asked him, did he feel strong? Jojo said, hey, he felt okay. But then Jojo added, but I think he'll be better at 140 because I think since he won't be weight training himself, he'll be a lot stronger at that weight, right? So that's what Jojo said, right? But I mean, could be true, but he still is going to have a lot to make up for with those big punchers at 140, in my opinion, right? That's my opinion, but that's what I got.
Let me ask you this, because you mentioned something interesting, and I was actually going to segue into that. I was going to ask you about this. It's like when Canelo was 24, and we saw how like small he was at 24, and then you looked 4 years later, he looked like a tank. Devin Haney is only 24 years old, right? And I think he's far from peaked. Now, again, time will tell. We don't know this for sure. But can Devin Haney grow and be stronger, more powerful? Can he be a better fighter as he gets older, just like Canelo improved after, the Mayweather fight? Could he get better? Could he be a better version? Could he be? Because, again, we saw something in this Lomachencko fight, at least I did, that I was very surprised at. I saw someone who could hang on the inside, whereas before I didn't think he could hang at all on the inside. And I didn't think he would even attempt to fight there. So moving forward, I mean, obviously we don't know for sure, but would it be reasonable?
Question.
Would it be reasonable to suggest that maybe he would be better as he got older?
I mean, look, the way you're framing the question, could he get better? I guess that's true about everybody. Everybody could get better, right? And he is young, so I get it. But here's the thing. I just feel this way, man. Like what I saw in that 11th round against Loma, what I saw late in the fight against Linares, I mean, this is someone who's vulnerable. And he hasn't fought a puncher like that yet.
So you don't think it's the weight? You don't think it's the weight? You think it's just him?
I don't think it's the weight. No.
Okay. I mean,
I could be wrong.
You could be right. I could be wrong. Whatever.
But I just think I've said this for a while. He's the Corey Spinks of his era. Nothing wrong with that. Both were undisputed champion. Both were up there. But what happened when Spinks got figured out with that chin? He wasn't the same anymore. Yeah. He wasn't old, like when he got caught by Zab Judah and knocked out, right? Yeah. So I just think it's only a matter of time. I feel like the clock is ticking with Haney. And it's only a matter of time before a big puncher catches him and stops him. And then the question is, can he recover from that? Can he come back from a loss like that? Right? So his career go two ways. You know what I mean? He's at a crossroads right now. And at the moment, to avoid the crossroads for now, his best option is Loma. That's how I feel.
And to kind of speak to that a little bit more is when you did look at Canelo, he had that big, thick neck. It wasn't like, I mean, he was always taking punches well. He was never showing vulnerabilities like Haney was in, like late in fights. He had that one thing with Miguel Cotto's brother, but after that, he was taking big shots and he was handling them. So maybe this could be a structural thing, like you say, because that could be the difference. I mean, I'm trying to make that comparison, but the one thing that you can, make a standout quality is that Canelo always was very durable, regardless of what weight he was at. So that's one thing you could kind of look at to kind of support what you're saying right now.
I never seen, before I let Cholo go real quick, one quick comment. I seen Canelo outpointed. I seen him get, touched up and outclassed. Yeah. Okay. But I never seen him get beat up the way Haney got beat up.
He's never been. Even in the
I never seen him trying to survive the last few rounds like I saw him against Linares.
So I guess when you look at it that way, I can see where you're coming from. You just think there's just something physically, structurally, that this guy just may not be durable. In other words,
People's comparing to Floyd. I'm just saying I compare him to Spinks.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
where he's running to hold just to be on survivor mode. Look, I know when we bring up 140, him moving to 140, I know we bring up names like Prograis and Taylor. He doesn't necessarily have to jump in bed with those guys right away. He can get up there and just fight a bunch of tomato. Well, not a bunch, but 1, 2, possibly even 3 tomato cans just to get his feet wet. He doesn't necessarily have to move up to 140.
So Raleigh, fight Raleigh, right?
Raleigh, the world champion, man. But, he doesn't necessarily have to get up there and fight the top dogs immediately. He can get up there and start getting his feet wet and not just have to dive into the deep end.
I also think he may possibly be more durable at 140. I always thought he would be a stronger puncher there, but I think cutting the weight has made him, less durable. That could be a possibility too.
I guess to D-Style's point, though, not to cut you off, Wave, some of the guys that were kind of hurting him a little bit were smaller than him. Is that where you're kind of going with that, D-Style, a little bit? And he was the bigger man. Even when he was the bigger man, he was still getting hurt by smaller guys. Was that what you kind of leaning towards a little bit? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that?
Can I make a comment to that? Because I've said it from time, and I'm sure that most people have clocked. When did all of this quote unquote suspicion and everything start happening, or be questions? Just after the pandemic started, when he was out of the ring for like, I think 11 months, when the start of the pandemic to the end, after the shoulder injury and all that stuff, right? Prior to that, what was he doing? He was breaking eye sockets. He got KO of the year in 2018. And people just, or was it 2019? One of the two. And people just like it, really think that, they just like they forget that these things happened. So clearly, between that point there, when you're a young 20, being at 135 since the age of 16 and competing there all the way up until now, 8 years later, clearly his body is morphed out of that, and he's killing himself to stay there. So I think a lot of the frailties that people see in him now is because he didn't move up when his body told him to. Now, one thing I will say about Shakur, even though as talented as he is and as great as he's possibly going to be in the future, and as unprofessional as he was in not making the weight and keeping his belt, he knew each time from 126 to 130 to 155, it's time to go up. I am not struggling to make any weight and putting myself in unnecessary jeopardy. That's the one difference between him and Haney, and that's probably why he will end up having a lot more long-term success, because he's really listened to his body and done what his body told him to do, whereas Haney has been fighting against it for the last 4 years.
Could this be a situation like Tommy Hearns? Because Tommy Hearns was kind of frail looking at 147. He was thin, whatever, but he moved up, and he got stopped. He got stopped by Hagler. He got stopped by Barkley, and this was a guy that, regardless, when he moved up, he still had that fragility to him, right? D-Style, I could see both sides of the argument. I think D-Style makes a good point, because Devin Haney's got that long neck. He's still not like a thick guy built like stocky like Canelo. You know what I mean? Like, you can just see like maybe it could be a structural thing, like D-Style is saying, sort of like it was with Tommy Hearns, because regardless of how much Tommy Hearns moved up in weight, he still always showed vulnerability. Even in the second Leonard fight, Leonard was hitting him and banging him all over the ring, and he was substantially bigger than Leonard. And that's why some of those rounds were like 10-8. I don't agree with that, but you could see Tommy, even when he moved up, he still would get hurt regardless of the weight class. So it's going to be interesting to see.
If he's going to move up, or if he's having issues like that, then he should move up, because guess what? Even if you're fighting, it's actually not better fighting the little guys dehydrated, because they don't have the power to knock you out, but they keep landing punches on you.
Yeah.
It's actually worse in the long run. So he needs to make a decision ASAP.
Yeah. Because, let me get to Dave real quick, because he's been waiting patiently. Go ahead, Dave, man. Let me see what your thoughts on. You think Devin should rematch Lomachenko, or you think he should move up?
I think the right thing to do is to rematch Lomachencko immediately this fall. Is it going to be what his choice? No. Is it the best choice? Probably not, but it's the right thing to do. But when do people do the right things, man? The easiest path for him is to sign some kind of deal with PBC and get this WBA to force him to be the mandatory for Raleigh Romero. You know, I know he wants to fight Ryan Garcia, but listen, he could settle into that weight, easily defeat Raleigh Romero, another Las Vegas local, and then he could just do easy mandatories until he fills into the weight class. And then he could start challenging people like Regis Prograis for maybe a unification. But, you know, the way I see it, that's the safest route for him at 140. Signing a deal over at the Zone back with Eddie Hearn, I don't see very credible opponents for him. I don't see a path to being a world champion there either.
Yeah, because if he goes to Matchroom, he'll get thrown right into the fire with Matias. And
right,
even when Tio moved up, they gave him 2 fights to kind of get acclimated to the weight class. They didn't throw him right to the wolves either, too. So
and it benefited Teofimo. Now we see he's ready. He thinks he's ready for this opportunity against Josh. And I think that's what Haney's going to need too, you know, including Ryan Garcia. He's obviously going to need to acclimate to the real punchers at 140 pounds. And that's the thing that these guys all have in common is that they need to acclimate themselves to bigger punchers.
And the problem too, Dave, and I don't know if you agree with this, is he was always a big lightweight. You know, he was always bigger than all of his opponents. When he goes up to 140, he's going to be an average size 140 pounder. Look at Josh Taylor. Look at Jose Ramirez. Those guys are bigger than him, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Big.
No,
So,
it doesn't get any easier.
yeah, I see D Styles' point. I mean, but I'm still curious, anyways. I want to see if he is stronger. But I don't know. I do.
Well, he might be physically stronger, but you know, like Amir Khan is probably the best case example. Whether he fought at 140, 140, 147, up to middleweight.
Johnny Hearn, same thing.
Later into his
Corey
career.
Spinks.
Yeah.
You know,
Haney's first fight. Haney's
isn't
first fight
fair.
at 140 will be Sandor Martin. Watch. It'll be his first fight.
Gotcha.
Not a punch off,
and
but
even
it's a
that's
good,
not easy.
yeah, it's a
It
good
wouldn't be
box.
too
No,
bad.
because it's a boxing match. It's not. You ain't got to worry about power in that one. It's just boxing. That'll be his first fight.
Prograis would be a horrible mistake.
I'd
He's definitely turning that down.
Yeah.
That's
I'd love to see how he reacts to getting tagged with his first big shot at 140. I want to see if he can stand up to it. It'll be interesting.
Well, I don't think he stands to a big shot at 135.
Yeah.
From a real, you know, power puncher, I don't think he stands with a shot at 135 either. And then eventually all that is going to get exposed once he gets in there with somebody who's going to tag him pretty good. So 135, 140, whatever's best for him. I kind of like, if I'm in his corner, I kind of like the idea of going to PBC and trying to get Rolly Romero. I really don't think that's going to happen, but that's actually kind of a good idea. But look, the one that wins in all of this is referee Tony Weeks, because that's it. Nobody's talking about him anymore.
Do you guys think that Oscar will entertain a fight with him and Ryan?
Devin?
You know, yes. That's a good monkey wrench. Yeah.
I meant to bring that up earlier, but I think it's possible, especially
That's a great fight.
Yeah.
You don't think Ryan would try to go right to a Rolly fight instead of Devin, though?
Yeah, that's the safer fight. I mean,
everybody wants Rolly.
Everybody wants in a while. That dude got a bullseye on his back.
Hey, listen, Rolly Romero, when you're at the top, everyone's after you, man. When you're at the top, man.
I saw.
You know what? There's a good thing because it's either Rolly, Ismael Barroso, or O'Hara Davis. That's 3 pretty easy fights to come up to be totally honest. So he's sitting pretty if that's the case.
And Rolly's a good guy to fight if you want to test the waters with someone who could punch, but he's not that good. So you could kind of like, you know, like I saw a video of Rolly Romero telling Teofimo, "Hey, isn't this boxing thing easy? It's just easier. We just train. It's easy." And Teofimo like, "Nah, like maybe for you, the way you got shit going, but like it's not gonna be that easy. They put you in the ring with Devin, Rolly, or they put you in the ring with Prograis. Come back and tell me how easy it is."
Yeah, it's not easy. I don't think it doesn't look easy to me. Okay. Another very competitive fight, but this wasn't controversial at all, was Chantelle Cameron versus Katie Taylor. I thought this was a great fight. I actually had this fight a draw, but you know, most people had Cameron winning, but I thought it was a very competitive fight. Rematch clause, it's been activated, and I'm hearing it's going to be at 135. Do you guys think at 135 that this would be a different fight for Katie? Do you think it's a more winnable fight for Katie at 135, or do you just think Cameron has just the right style to beat her and it's not going to make much of a difference? Start with you first, Dave.
Yeah, I do think it's going to change the dynamic. I do. I think that I would favor Cameron to lose this one. I think Katie Taylor's the queen of that 135. And she just like Canelo Alvarez, just that extra weight, and she just loses that edge. Like Canelo moved up to light heavyweight. I think I'd like to see this rematch at Katie Taylor's weight class, and I think she might edge it.
Okay. Base, do you think it's a different fight at 135?
Yeah, slightly. I mean, initially I said on the zone when I was on there that I thought the fight should have been at 135 to begin with and just had all the belts on the line to the start. They had the 135 and the 140 belts on the line. That would have just made it a much bigger fight. They might now do it this time, because if Chantelle's saying, well, look, I've been defending my belts for the last 3 fights, I want to fight for someone else's, Katie might say, okay, well, you can come down here, but I still want your belts. So we can put all of them on the line. To me, that makes the most sense. Now, at 135, she will have a slight advantage because Chantelle hasn't made that weight for about 4 years now, 4.5 years. But Chantelle is still a natural 135 competitor. So it might take her a little bit longer to kind of just get acclimated back down there. But ultimately, it will be, I mean, I scored the same as you, to be honest. As I scored it a draw, but within that draw, there was 2 swing rounds that I gave to Katie, which easily could have went Chantelle. And I've seen a lot of people say it was 97-93 to them. So they probably scored those swing rounds to Chantelle. So yes, it could be an easier fight, or a more. I still think the fight was competitive in spots, but it was obviously there was a clear winner. It could be more competitive, but ultimately, the jeopardy is Chantelle just may have a number at this point. Even though, if you look at normal base styles, Katie's got the right base style, but she just doesn't stick to script enough. And the fact that she was backing onto the ropes a lot in that fight, I don't know if that was whether, like, the gas tank, she started feeling it from early and thought that the best thing to do was just to counter. But if she had have stuck to the normal, like if she had hit and moved more, especially in the first half of the fight, and then maybe decided to sit down and trade afterwards, she probably could have won at 140. So I reckon she will have the advantage at 135 ever so slightly, and she probably will get that back. And then they can have a trilogy before she goes off into the sunset.
Got you. Luis Puenta with the $2 super chat says Little Loma was beating him up. Now imagine him at 140. That's something to think about. Thomas Morris says the fight was close because Haney wanted to keep Loma on the back foot, and he doesn't have the pop or inside game for that. Okay, D-Style says, when I say puncher, I don't mean Raleigh, by the way. Okay, Luis Puente, another $2 super chat says Haney at 140 doesn't even beat a Steve Spark, in my opinion. Okay.
Jesus.
I mean, Steve Spark, he can fight, man. I mean, I ain't gonna disrespect Steve Spark, man. D-Style, do you think this is a different fight for Katie at 135? Or would you still favor Cameron in the rematch?
I think it would only depend if Cameron can make that weight comfortably or not. That's about it. You know what I mean? But it's just a very similar situation to like the Canelo Bivol situation where like she's like, well, we want to run it back. I want to get your belts. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to put my belts on the line again. Like you know what I mean? I already defended them against you. Now let me go get those, right? So I could kind of see that. But I think she won, so she has some leverage there. I think I would rather see the fight in London than in Ireland again. She won. Why does everything have to be so one-sided the second time? I get Katie's a big name. I'm a huge fan of Katie Taylor, but I'm just putting that out there. But I do think it's I don't know. This is one of those fights that I just feel Katie just had the wrong game plan. I think Cameron started fast, and she kind of made Katie like fall behind, and I don't think Katie's used to that. Katie's used to dictating the pace of a fight, and she didn't let her do it. Like she immediately came out of the gate, and it's like, I'm going to dictate this fight. I'm going to pressure you. I'm going to stay on you, and I'm going to fight it at this fast pace. Either you keep up or you don't. And then it was just I don't know, a lot. It was like the perfect storm. Her hair got loose, was covering her face. It took the corner 2-3 rounds to fix it. I don't know. It was a lot of crazy stuff. But now I've always noticed that Katie. But then again, I noticed this with a lot of the female fighters that they don't move their head off the center line fast enough. It's just that Cameron was able to capitalize on it more than her previous opponents. And people are saying that Katie's getting old. No, I just think Cameron and her speed, like she's not as fast as Katie, but I don't think Katie was expecting that. I don't think like to that degree. Even though I believe they fought before in the amateurs, but in the course of a 10-round fight, I don't think she expected that. But I think this was one of those fights where the game plan of Cameron worked, and Katie kind of, it was a little too little too late. But I actually would favor Taylor in the rematch for sure.
Do you think Taylor was being a little too predictable in this fight, and Cameron was just picking up on the rhythm?
Yeah,
and
that's another thing. Yeah,
timing her a little bit.
Yeah, like that's the thing when you're on top. Everyone has film on you, right? Everyone knows your movements.
Yeah.
And I think Cameron knew what to expect. But what she did was she jumped on her early, like not super aggressive, but just dictated the pace of the fight from the beginning. And again, so what Taylor needs to do in the rematch is she needs to dictate the pace, right? And if that means you start throwing the jab and moving out of the way, and maybe it's not an exciting fight, it is what it is. Right, I believe a trainer was telling her in the middle of the fight, like, don't worry about this being like put it on a show, making this exciting. If it's boring, whatever. I need you to in and out, stick and move. That's basically was his message. And she like halfway listened. She wasn't listening to him that much. But again, maybe she was tired. I don't know.
No body shots either, and that's something Cameron was doing beautifully. Wave, different fight at 135, or do you think Cameron repeats?
I think Katie has a chance in a rematch simply because I scored it for Chantelle 6 rounds to 4. I think I had a couple swing rounds. I can't remember who I gave those 2 swing rounds to. It might have been to Chantelle. By the end of the fight, I was expecting it to be 6-4 either way. But I think with minor adjustments, I think Katie's burnt out a little too early, man. It didn't look good. It kind of reminded me of after Serrano like punished her that one round. I was like, all right, Katie looks done. But then she started to pick it up, and it was similar. It happened here. Chantelle slowed down, and Katie started to pick it up. And it wasn't enough, but that, her cutting down a little bit and Katie, making some adjustments. I mean, she did better in the Delphi Pursoon rematch. So I think Katie would have a shot. And I think they would love to have a trilogy between those two. And I can see Katie winning the rematch, believe it or not. I think she can win. I mean, the fight was close. It's not like everybody said 6-4, like 6-4 either way or draw. Most people picked Chantelle from what I saw. But Katie has a shot in winning a rematch, especially if that, she comes down to 135 and everything. I think, yeah.
Jola, what do you think at this fight at 135? You think it's a different fight, or would you go with Chantelle again?
Absolutely, I think it's a different fight. My goodness, it looked like David and Goliath in there. Katie looked very small against Chantelle. She looked very small. We're watching the fight. We kept on saying like, wow, she looks just very small in the fight, man. Chantelle just looked enormous. I do understand the whole thing of Katie's probably getting a little older. She is 36 years old. And feeling the power of Chantelle, she was running around a lot for her being 36 years old, trying to lean up against the ropes, trying to get out of the way, try to, stay on her feet. I remember her corner telling her, listen, I don't want to see you on the ropes anymore. Stay in the middle of the ring, move around the middle of the ring and exchange. And she tried to do that, but then she would hold, I believe, because she just really couldn't take Chantelle's power anymore. Chantelle looked huge in that fight, man. So I think the weight will definitely make a difference. And I do favor Katie Taylor if they do rematch at 135. That being said, if we're gonna look for a trilogy, where's that gonna happen? Back up or still at 135? So Katie Taylor's still the bigger name. This whole A side B side thing is probably still gonna be in her favor. And she's got Conor McGregor over there jumping up and down, shaving his whole beard off. It's just the hairstylist just needs to do a better job, man, because that hair came down and it was really bothering her. So yeah, I do think it's a different fight at 135. I favor Katie Taylor, but I still believe it's going to be a very competitive fight at 135, should it happen.
Got you. Okay.
You didn't go to Danny.
You didn't go to Danny, or I got that's other thing. Danny, what do you think, man? 135 better for Taylor or what?
Possibly, but I just think that as Katie's had quite a very long amateur and pro career, I've just noticed in the last two fights, from the Serrano to the fight just before Chantelle Cameron, that she's just lost a step or two, and she seems to be slowing up. So, and it just seemed that Chantelle Cameron was able to time her and also outwork her. Where Katie would throw a jab, Chantelle knew because she was the B side in her backyard, I've got to throw a double jab. When Katie would try and throw those little Lomachencko like Calzaghe kind of clusters, even though a lot of them was missing, Chantelle Cameron would fire back with a combination of her own, even though they're not as fast. But she knew, I've got to work twice as hard to get half the rewards. And I think it'll be interesting to see how she does the weight going back down there. As Base said, she hasn't done it in about 3-4 years. But if she does do it well, I think that it'll be the same result, really, because the body shots was working a treat. Katie Taylor does look like she's getting tired a lot in a lot of her fights. She looks very shot worn, even though she always looks quite busted up and quite always breathing heavy now. So I think her engine's starting to go. And I know D-Style said it should be in London, but Chantelle Cameron's not from London, so it doesn't sell in London. And and I think Chantelle does deserve to get a shot at someone else's belt. She beat Jessica McCaskill and Katie Taylor now, so she deserves to either go and get the welterweight straps or the lightweight straps. So yeah, I look forward to that.
Okay. All right. So speaking of moving up and down and switching weight classes, we've actually heard people suggest that Lomachencko should move down to 130 and try to become undisputed down at 130. And I've even heard Joe Tessitore say that he can see Lomachenko even going back down to 126, which seems kind of bizarre to me. Do you guys think that Lomachenko should stay at 135, or do you think he should go down to 135? What do you think, Cholo?
I've been hearing that for quite a while. This isn't anything new. For quite a few years now, people have been talking about Lomachenko. Hey, he should be at 130. He's too small for 135. No, I don't think he's too small. I like him at 135. Look, I'm not either way. I'm not against it. If he comes out and says, listen, Haney's not giving me a rematch, and I don't really feel the need to be at 135, I'm going to go 130. I'm actually going to be kind of excited because there are some fights down there that I would like to see him in. But I don't think there's either a wrong way to go for him. I like him at 135. I don't think he's too small for it. I think he can compete at the highest level at 135. So no, I'm okay with him sticking around at 135. I would like to see him get in there with somebody like Tank or Shakur. I don't really see that happening, especially the Tank fight. But yeah, I don't really have a very strong opinion on should he stay or should he move back down. If he moved back down to 130, now 126, I think is a little ridiculous, especially at his age. But 130, I have no issue with it, but I don't see the need for him to move down to 130. No.
126 seems like a stretch too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Danny? You think Loma should just stay at 135, or do you think he should go back down to 130?
One sec. No, I think that one sec. Yeah, I think that he should. I think he should stay at 135 because the belts are going to get vacated real soon, because I don't think Devin can do this anymore. and he can pick up a version of the world title. And I know a lot of people keep making excuses for Lomachenko. Oh, he's small. But no one made any excuses or had any sympathy when he made Rigondeaux jump up 2 weight classes to fight him. So was Rigondeaux too? No one never mentioned that. So I think he should stay where he is. I don't think he can make 126 at all. He probably could make 130, but then who's down at 130 really is the big matchups ain't really down there for him. So he has to really stay at 135, and I think he can win a version. But I think it's quite obvious now that he's not the best at 135 because Shakur Stevenson will beat him. They'll use the age thing against him, but I think Shakur would have beat him a few years ago, whether it was 130, 126, or 135.
Gotcha. Dave, what do you think, man? Stay at 135 or go back down to 130?
If those belts get vacated, he's got a great chance of becoming world champion again. But I also do like and find a matchup with the winner of the Navarrete and Oscar Valdez. I like that idea of watching Lomachencko try to win a title back at 130 against the winner of that fight. So I think that is a good fight. It's a great fight to see him either against Oscar Valdez or Navarrete. I think that's an intriguing fight and a great way to write off and cement his legacy in the sport.
Yeah. Wave 130, like Dave said, it is kind of heating up a little bit. Do you think there's some good fights down there for Lomachenko at 130, or I think we should just wait for these belts to eventually get vacated and pick another one up and try the undisputed path again?
I don't know about undisputed, unless he gets it at Devin Haney. The belts being split, and even at 130, I really it's going to be hard to get those belts together. I mean, they're all separated at 130. That's what I'm thinking. I just pulled it up just to be sure. There's no one unifying. I mean, 130 and 126 has been just no one's unifying in those divisions, and 135 is not going to get any easier for here. I mean, it really depends on what he wants to do. Obviously push for the Haney rematch is the obvious way of getting undisputed. But I think Loma wants more. I don't think he just wants to be a champion again. I think if he stays at 135 and the belts get split up, I think it's possible for him to be champion again at 135. Then, people are going to say, if he goes back down to 130 and he wins one of these fights, it's going to be like, oh, he had to go back down to a lower weight to get a belt. I don't know. It might not be a problem to him because it's really based on him, but it's no really major fights down at 130 that I really want to see him in. I think Navarrete and Valdez winner would be good. But outside of that, I can't see him really going around. Those belts are all over the place. A couple of them is over in Showtime. One is with DAZN. Joe Cordita is holding the title, I think. They're all over the place. So unifications and undisputed, I think that would be out of his hands. It really depends on what he wants. I think at this point, he needs to just focus on the biggest fight for him, and that's it. That's my opinion.
Where do you like Lomachenko to end up base? You like him at 135? You like him at 130? Where would you like him?
I mean, to be honest, he's got just as much chance of winning belts at either or, so it doesn't matter. But curveball, I actually think if he doesn't get the rematch, which, as I said before, he's not campaigning for a rematch, he's just campaigning for these number one slots, unless he can get mandated to maybe challenge for 2 vacant titles or something. Don't be surprised if he doesn't call it a day and just retires.
Wow.
Because all he wanted was undisputed. He's already 3 divisions. So going back to 130, he's already been a champion down there. He's not going to get undisputed down there. There's no undisputed at 126. And the chances of getting it at 135 are slim. Plus, if you look at both him and Usyk have said that they have to, the training and stuff they have to do to fight these bigger guys, like takes a lot more wear and tear and toll on their bodies. Even though the actual fighting and the gas tank and stuff is easier, but the training's a lot more difficult to compensate for the weight. So he might just think to himself, you know what? I've been a champion at all three of these. I was unified. I'm not going to get undisputed. Maybe there's more important things for me to do.
Do you agree with that, D-Style? You think it's kind of almost impossible at this point for him to become undisputed in either weight class?
No. Saying it's impossible or not likely would have made sense in 2019, 2018. We are in the era of undisputed. Like these belts are the reason we got undisputed 135. Loma has he's a big reason. He unified most of those. And then he lost to Teofimo. Like he has a big reason. Haney just showed up and beat Cambosos. You know what I mean? If we're honest, right? Now, granted, that took time. That took several fights. But my number one option is definitely a rematch with Haney. Let me just be 100% clear. But if he doesn't get the rematch with Haney, if the Dragon Balls are being scattered anyway, right? Then you might as well go where there's established champions. I don't think these fights are that difficult to make, quite frankly. I don't. Joe Cordino fight, he's worked with Eddie Hearn Matchroom before when they did the Campbell fight. That's how he got the WBC strap. They could easily do that IBF fight with Joe Cordino. They could probably do it in England without a problem. His Hector Luis Garcia fight, I think PBC would work with Top Rank, quite frankly. I heard Bob Arum say that on Joe Habib's interview. They would work with Top. They don't have a problem working with PBC. They don't have a problem. Like O'Shaquie Foster, they'll make that. I just think all these fights, the winner Navarrete Valdez, I do think he could do it in a year. Like Canelo did it. Canelo, there was 4 champions. The dude did it in 10 months, and he became undisputed. It's not impossible. So I do think it's possible. And now,
style, 3 of those champs was on the same platform. Yeah, only one of them you had to move around for.
But
they're all on different platforms for 130, 135.
I guess what I'm saying is that they made it happen, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I get that the WBC belt became vacated because Benavidez lost weight, so that was a vacant strap against Smith. I get all that, right? But what I'm saying is, they've worked with Matchroom before. They have done some stuff with PBC, and if Loma goes to 130, Loma's the money man at 130. He's the money fight for these guys.
Yeah, he'd be the A side.
He'll be the A side. Like they could make it happen. Now, if he wants to maximize his ability to become undisputed ever, which this dude went to his locker room after promising his son it's going to become undisputed, and broke down crying. Okay, I get it's become a meme or whatever. It's something he wants to accomplish. It's what he wants, right? So if it's going to be more difficult to do it at 135, why not do it at 130? I get people's annoyance because I don't like it when guys use sizes like they choose to move up in weight, then they lose, and they use sizes as the excuses to why they lost. But that's not what this is about. He's campaigned at 135. He's become unified champion at 135. He's gave it a crack. He fell short, right? I get it, but there's nothing wrong with going back down in weight if that's where he's at his optimum. And he's at his best, right? Why not? Like, and I think if they write up the right plan, they could do it, and he could become undisputed at 130. I think that's where he would be at his best, quite frankly. That's my opinion. But I also understand the argument that there's no money fights there for him, right? I get that. I'm just saying it's an option, and I don't think it's that crazy, to be honest.
Just to correct you, D Styles, him and Cordina wouldn't be in England; it would be in Wales. They are 2 different countries. I know where the UK.
Well, the UK. I'll say the UK. I'll say the UK. It's still part of the UK. You know what I mean? But what I'll say is this: just to Danny, really quick. There is someone who said Rigondeaux was too small and the size played a factor, and his name is Vasyl Lomachenko. He said that. He said, "Yeah, he was too small for me." That was a big. So Vasyl said that, right?
He said it. He did say it before the fight too. Before they even made the fight, he had no interest of fighting him because he was too small.
Yeah.
You know, the very unfortunate thing for Loma for not being an undisputed champion is the fact that he did have that chance. He did have that opportunity to go south of the equator and fight Kambosos, but he chose not to. Instead, he went over to Ukraine. That's where Devin Haney,
too.
That's where Devin Haney stepped in. So that's the very unfortunate part. Now, can he do it at 130? Yes, he can. However, the only thing about the difference there, D-Style, is that Canelo brought a heck of a lot more money to the table. Not to say that Loma's not going to bring any money to the table, but Canelo, I mean, just in the world of boxing, he just brings a heck of a lot more money to the table. That makes it so much more easier for these guys to negotiate, to make that fight happen. Everybody's getting in line for a Canelo fight. So I don't know how many guys are really going to get in line for a Lomachencko fight. They might want to price themselves out.
And Cholo, if the thing is, don't forget, if he went to Australia to face Kambosos, that's still not undisputed because Devin Haney had the WBC belt. Right. The franchise doesn't count towards undisputed, so you would have had to still see Haney anyway.
Correct. That's true. Forgot about that, Base.
Yeah, and Cholo, I agree with what you're saying
today, man. He's on point.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Cholo, because you got to remember Canelo is the Forbes list highest paid boxer. So when people are fighting Canelo, it's payday. With Lomachenko, these guys are not going to be lining up thinking I'm getting a payday from Vasyl Lomachenko, unfortunately. So they're not going to be queuing up to be getting him on their networks or giving him a title shot because it doesn't bring that type of revenue. Like for instance, when everyone's running down Canelo because they know they're going to get their highest person. This guy generates massive blockbuster events, so it's a total different ballgame.
Imagine if Devin does move up and then Loma and Shakur just fight for like the vacant WBC. That would be a great fight right there too. So there's so many opportunities here. To be honest, so many opportunities.
Bob loves Lomachenko. You guys are underestimating the love he has for Loma. He's going to take out that check, and he's about to croak any day now. He wants to see it happen.
You can't say that. Whoa!
He's going to take out that check. You know what I mean?
You don't wish it on anybody. You don't wish it on anybody, please.
You want to see before he goes. I'm just saying.
You don't put that energy out. You don't put that energy out there. You don't put that.
Hall of Fame promoter.
D, are you saying he's got Loma in his will?
Probably. Shit.
Oh, please. This is going somewhere.
This dude he was asleep at ringside. He still had Loma winning the fight. You know, easy, he said. So I'm just saying.
But Loma's a bad loser anyway because he was saying that he got robbed against Teofimo Lopez. So you have to bear that in mind.
Wow. I don't know,
Good
man.
point. Yeah.
But let's get to this other great fight we got coming up Saturday, man. This is an awesome fight. Leigh Wood versus Maurico Lara. Repeat or revenge? Wow. This was a great fight the first time around too, and Leigh Wood was winning rounds. I think some people had him up before he got stopped. I think I had him up before he got stopped too. He was doing a good job in there. He's holding his own, and boom, the left hook from hell came out of nowhere. D-Style, is this repeat or revenge, man?
Oh, it's doubled. I'm doubling down. You know what I mean? This is where you double down. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Look, I saw Leigh Wood. I hope Leigh Wood just saying it to promote the fight, but saying he got a lucky shot. Like, dude, if you think that was luck, you're in trouble. Like, I'm just telling you right. If you think he, as Beeb would call it, like got his body in position, right, to hit you with that hook, well, perfect. If you think that was luck, good luck. But I in all honesty, I do think Wood's too smart for that. I think he knows, and they probably watch the film and they'll be ready for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, that he doesn't know, but I just think the inevitable is going to happen here. Lara is. They used to call Roberto Duran manos de piedra. Okay, hands of stone. This guy is a little Duran, man. And not a skill. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anybody to jump on me. Oh, he compared it to Duran. I'm not saying he's Duran skill-wise, but as terms of punching power, it's comparable to a lightweight Duran. It is. All right. When this guy hits you with either hand, even when he misses, even when he doesn't hit you clean, it hurts. And you could tell because these guys act a certain way. Okay. Leigh Wood walked through fire when it came to Conlon. He walked through fire. He wasn't walking through fire this time, which was smart of Wood. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying go in there, like go walk through fire with this guy. But I do think he's going to land a big shot, and I think it's going to happen sooner, because I think he knows now. He knows I could take his best shot. He can't take mine. So I'm going to force the exchanges early. I'm going to press him early. I'm going to set the tempo, and I don't think he's going to be able to take it. He allowed Wood to box too much in the first fight. He just did, right? But he knows him better now, right? And I just think he's going to knock him out in less than 5 rounds. I got Maurico Lara, El Bronco. That's what I got.
Dave, you think Lara's just going to jump him like D-Style saying and be all over him like white on rice, and it's going to be all she wrote? 3-4 rounds? How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, brother. It's actually going to be it's going to be a repeat. It actually might happen faster. D-Styles makes a great point, man, because here's the thing with Leigh Wood. When he starts feeling himself and getting confident, he leaves himself open to those counter power shots. And that's it's actually the same story with Conlan this weekend. These 2 great featherweight Mexican champions are going to be traveling across seas again to defend their titles. And I don't have Leigh Wood or Conlan capable of pitching a perfect shutout. You know, they start feeling themselves and get feeling their punches and their combinations, and that's where things get dangerous for both of these guys. Because inevitably, Conlan, he can't take heavy shots. He can give them out. He can dish them out. And Leigh Wood can too. Leigh Wood against anybody else, I'd favor. But against these 2 hard-hitting Mexican featherweight champions, in particular Lara, who I think has got the heaviest hands in the division, it's lights out. Straight up, it's lights out. And what I do appreciate about this fight is what I would like to see in the Haney Lomachenko fight. Despite being no controversy, they're giving a rematch to the fans immediately. And that's what I'd like to see with the Loma Haney situation. But it's going to be lights out again. And I'll probably, if you come to that other fight, I'll say the same thing.
Okay, interesting. Base, does this fight see the second half, or is it over in under 6?
Oh no, I think this fight's over within 4, to be honest.
Jesus.
Initially,
Wow.
I actually predicted that Leigh Wood would win the first fight on points, because he had a lot of natural advantages over Lara in terms of like straight punches, you know, sort of length of arm and those type of things. And as you saw for a lot of those earlier rounds, he was doing exactly what I thought he would do, keeping it long, keeping it at range. And anytime Lara jumped in, he would tag him with the right hand with enough power that Lara wouldn't necessarily just jump in again. But from round 3, I think it was probably round 3 onwards, even though he was obviously getting hit with some shots and you could tell that they were having an effect, but he started selling out and he started just trying to go for the hook, thinking, oh yeah, well, I've got a powerful hook. And it's like, well, yeah, you might have a powerful hook, but his one is probably more powerful. And because he's shorter, it's going to be a lot quicker to get to the target than yours is. Stick to the long range stuff and you can win this fight on points or potentially stop him late. But he won't do that. He's going to sell out from early. And I think he even said in the ring when it got announced, like, you know, one of us is getting laid out earlier this time. I know the mistake I made. I'm not going to make it again. But he is going to make it again because he can't help himself. And because of that, and the fact that I don't think Ben Davison is a good trainer for him personally, they're not going to have the right game plan to do anything other than get stopped, and probably a lot more brutally this time.
Wow. Nando Lamos says Mauricio El Apocalypto Lara reminds me of Manny's hell bent for leather style with a smile. Okay. All right. Good enough. Danny, what's going on, man? What do you think about this fight? Is Lara gonna just walk through this man or what?
Well, my accumulator, I've got him to take him out. As D-Style said, you know, that punch, the first one, it wasn't a lucky punch. That was similar to the way Nakatani set up that beautiful overhand, you know, left last weekend. So, and I remember that first fight. And in fact, I would say the early rounds, I know Bass was saying Lara was boxing beautifully, but I saw Lara, he saw Wood boxing beautifully, but I saw Lara hurting Wood quite a few times early. It was kind of only after about round 4 he started to make a surge back into the fight started landing his, his big hooks and stuff, and it looked like, oh, Lara's looking a bit worse for wear here. Is Wood going to take over and get rid of him? But then, boom, Lara landed that hook from hell, and I think Wood's gonna. Yeah, he's gonna make a mistake, and I think he probably might get taken out. I think about round 5 this time, especially when he's thinking, "Oh, one of us is gonna go." So in his mind, he's already willing to get laid out. So he's gonna end up just Lara's gonna put him out his misery and just lay him out flat.
Wave, any chance of an upset here?
Damn, I feel like you guys went so hard on this guy.
Crazy, right? Wave, you gonna be the odd man out here or what?
All right, so I think Lara's gonna win, but I did throw a little change in there for my boy Wood, just in case he pulls it off. I did it the first fight too. I thought Lara was gonna win, but I just couldn't help. I think that, of course, I think Wood would need to box a perfect fight in order to win the fight. I mean, I watched it again today because I had to do a video on it, and it's like he got too drawn into the crowd and the hype. He was winning, he was feeling himself. He had the fight in the bag. Mauricio was slowing down. The thing is, though, the body shots from Wood was definitely hurting Lara in that fight. Throughout the fight, the jabs to the body, they were hurting Lara. It's just that I just feel like Wood I don't think he's going to be able to stick to the game plan. I hope he does, because I do want to win my money, but I think that if he can survive the first 2-3 rounds, it's going to go longer than just 5. I think that it's going to definitely reach to the second half. But regardless, I think he's going to slip up, and he would have to fight a perfect fight to win. I just don't think he's going to be able to last the amount of time. But I think he could beat him. It's just he has to fight an extremely disciplined fight, and I just don't think he's capable of doing it.
Wave, I'm gonna tell you, your money's gone, bro.
I did it. It's done. You know what? It's done. I did it a couple of days ago. It's already done. But I think I don't know. Lara's probably gonna win, but I'm going for it.
Yeah, the thing about Lara is you can try and fight the perfect fight against him, but he's not gonna let you fight the perfect fight against him, because if you try to box him, he's gonna just come forward regardless of what you do. Because a stiff jab's not enough to stop this guy, because he slips him, he rolls him, he steps around you. He's got really good footwork, man. This guy really good footwork.
I know. I think but to be honest, I really didn't see him winning any of the earlier rounds except the second round.
No, he was losing rounds. You're right, Wave. That's correct.
I compare Lara to these punchers like Wilder and Tank that be losing rounds. They give them the rounds.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, boom, like one shot. You was comparing him to Roberto Duran. Though the dude got power. His power is crazy.
It's crazy.
And it's just the left hand too. It's just, he's not like a Conlan. Conlan was looping those left hands from low, and the same thing Lara did, Conlan did, and this guy just can't seem to get out of the way of those shots.
Yeah. Cholo, any surprises here on Saturday, man?
Man, first of all, let me just go ahead and say thank you to the boxing gods, man, because these small gladiators are giving us some good stuff. All this, the Mick Conlans, the Venados, the Laras, the Wood, even Warrington, man, just giving us some great stuff, man. Loving it. Leigh Wood with the Satchel Bob haircut, and Maurico Lara, who's had a really rough life, man, because if you look at he looks like he's 45, but he's actually 25 years old, man. I'm like, wow, you've been through the rough ringer there, guy. But, well, it depends, Wood. Okay, is he going to be disciplined? Remember, Lara spit in his face. a while
No, that
back.
was Warrington. That was Warrington.
Or was that Warrington? Or was that
Yeah.
after the Warrington fight?
Yeah, that was after the Wood
That was
fight.
after the last fight a few months ago. He spit.
Yeah.
Warrington was ringside.
Ringside.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
he actually likes Wood. He doesn't like
you.
Warrington.
Got you. That's right. Okay, it was Warrington. Yeah, that's right.
Either way, he's spitting at people. That ain't good.
No, that ain't good. Which is why I'm going to say this. Because he did that, honestly, I want Lara to get busted right in the mouth, man.
Whoa!
I'm picking him to win. He's going to win. I think he wins in the 7th round. Does he knock him out? I don't know. I see a TKO. I see Ben just stopping it or the ref waving it off. Wood, he's a warrior, man. I don't see him just staying down. He's gonna get up, spaghetti legs, and all drunk and everything, and they're gonna stop the fight. But I do want Wood because Lara's spitting like that, man. That's very low class, Holmes. I really want Wood to just bust him right in the mouth. Even drop him if you can, but bust him in the mouth, man, for spitting like that. I don't like that stuff. That's very low class, man. So I want Wood to just drop one good haymaker and bust his 2 front teeth out. Christmas is coming. He'll get them back.
No, I'm not trying to be.
I do got a lot of winning.
I don't want to be devil's advocate or nothing.
Don't do it, D-Style. Don't do it.
But I heard, even though I can't find the clip of it or nothing. So if anybody knows, I heard that supposedly Warrington said some mean words about Lara's dad. I don't know how true that is. I can't say it is because I haven't found anything. That's what people keep telling me in the chat. It's like, oh, he talks shit about Lara's dad. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it. But, I don't know if it's going to make it better or not, Cholo, but he did double down. They asked him, hey, you spit on Warrington? He said, yes, I did. That's right. Yeah, I did. And what is he going to do about it? That's what he said.
No, hey, listen, he's standing by what he did, man. I do like that. But I do want Wood. Look, I like Wood, man. I like Leigh Wood. The guy is a real true warrior, man. And I don't think Lara's going to be able to keep him down. I do see a stoppage in the fight, though. Yes. And Lara's going to win. I like Bronco, but I just didn't like they did that. So hopefully he gets busted in the mouth.
All right.
Go Cholo.
All right. So Tyson Fury, man. The gift that just keeps giving, man, was in Australia this week. Rumors were that he was in talks with Demsey McKean, the Australian fighter. That got shot down. And then Bob's saying he's still trying to get him a fight for the summertime. And now we're hearing that he's the guy that's holding up that big deal in Saudi. What's going on, Base? Is Tyson Fury
spit on him?
Is Tyson Fury going to get a summer fight, or is he just blowing smoke? What's going on here, man?
Dude, I can't tell you anything that Tyson Fury's doing. I checked off the Fury interest train like 2 years ago. So I really can't tell you what he's doing now. I can't tell you what he wants to do. I don't really think he's good for the sport, if I'm gonna be totally honest. There was a period of time like he did the rebrand in America with the mental health stuff, and he sort of endeared himself to people, but he just couldn't stick to script. And now he's just gone back to his usual self. And he's the guy that doesn't even care that the walls are closing in. To him, they ain't closing, because until that next mandatory gets called, which probably isn't going to happen anytime soon, he's chilling. So he's just going to do what he's doing and make up noise and whatever. So I don't know where he's fighting. I don't know who he wants to fight. I don't care unless it's Usyk. So if he's not fighting Usyk, I don't care about a summer fight. I don't care about a winter fight, autumn, spring next year. I don't care if he retires. I don't care if he gets stripped. I don't care if the belt sort of sticks around. But until the Usyk fight or the Joshua fight, if that's what it's got to be, then no interest.
Danny, what do you think, man? Is Base right? Are you jumping off the Tyson Fury train too?
I jumped off it a while ago. I saw Big Daddy Steve Bunce. He was saying that he notices that the popularity in Fury has dwindled very rapidly, because the first two videos where he was doing rants against Usyk was, going viral, getting big numbers. But then the one he's just done recently, it got the same amount of traction as Steve Bunce posting a pint of Irish Guinness. So he was like, it seems that people have kind of gone off him now. I saw he was trying to get Demsey McKean. I'm not going to say anything too bad about that, because Demsey McKean trains at the Matchroom gym with my cousin, so you know I have to not really say, but I'm not really a fan of that fight. But Fury does have a habit of going for easier touches before he tends to go into a big fight. I saw him write something to Bob Arum. Oh, you know what I want, and I'm waiting for you to give it to me. When Bob Arum says, I don't know what this guy is looking to do because I don't think he even knows what he wants to do. But yeah, Fury's he's just being silly now. He just needs to hurry up and get the Usyk fight, or just go away really, because no one's interested in him screaming and shouting anymore. He needs some new material. He keeps reloading the dryer, and it's just becoming a bit awesome now.
Yeah. Wave, what do you think with Fury? We gonna get a summer fight? This whole Australian situation down there, where he's saying he wants to fight in Australia. What do you make of it, man?
I really don't care about Tyson Fury and what he does. I think he fumbled the Usyk fight. There was nothing in the way of that, and you just ruined the heavyweight division, in my opinion. You're like, what are you doing? You know, like, what are you doing? It's just the way he's been moving, like since the Dillian White fight, and just all of that led up to the Derek Chisora. Like, he was gonna have it, then he was gonna fight Joshua, then he was giving all these I don't know, you have to sign by this time, and it was just too much, man. Just to end at the Derek Chisora fight, it was just like kind of crazy. A fight that no one was asking for. What was blocking you from making this Usyk fight? You know, it's for undisputed. What are you doing? You know, you holding the biggest problem I have with, you know, we talk about history and we're talking about like unification, undisputed, all this stuff, is that when one fighter is not on the ball, like, it ruins everybody's career, because this guy is trying to become undisputed, but the other guy just doesn't want to fight for whatever reason, you know. And I actually think Fury, I'm leaning towards Fury winning that fight if they were to ever have it. I'm leaning, but the guy he makes everything difficult. It's like the only fights that are easy is just those little fights in between that he chooses to have. But he's holding up everybody's legacy because he just can, you know. So if he's not fighting Usyk, I really don't care at this point, you know. I don't know.
Charlie, do you think any of these guys get a stay busy fight? Wilder, Joshua, Fury, or do you think they're all going to wait till December?
I think they're all going to wait till December. Unfortunately, Fury might have a fight this summer, because, believe it or not, there is a little bit of rumors starting to swirl around that he might be at WWE SummerSlam in Detroit in August. So, and he has been involved with WWE a few times before. So, not to say that he's gonna have a match, but he might be somewhere there. Look, I want to say this, man, about Tyson Fury. I believe that Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight there is today, and there has been in quite a few years. If the fight happens with him and Usyk, I pick Tyson Fury. However, all this shenanigans that he does, everything that he does, man, that was just like a complete roller coaster ride. I think the ride is over. There's no more, fun. Oh man, he said this. Oh, he's, insinuating this. So what does that mean? I think everybody's just fatigued and saying, okay, what's up, man? We're done with the roller coaster ride. We're done with it. Yes, people like myself can acknowledge that you are the best. I truly believe you are the best. But what are you doing, man? You're acting like a complete buffoon. So I really don't know. And is his head even completely in the game? I don't know how much he gets paid to appear with the WWE. I'm sure it's a nice chunk of change. So I'm not even really sure where his head is at, man. And I don't think that comes to anybody's surprise, because I don't think anybody knows what Tyson Fury is thinking. So I don't think he gets in a boxing ring this summer, but he might be stepping into a ring this summer.
You agree with him, D-Style?
Look, so I've stopped trying to figure Fury out like years ago. I can't figure it out. Like, I don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. You know what I mean? All I know is that I do believe that the Usyk fight's going to happen late in the year. I do. I am, and if he fights Usyk this year, even if it's in December, even if it's in Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter what he did the rest of the year. As long as I get that payoff, as long as it pays off at the end, I'll be happy. But the dude's erratic. I can't get the dude. He was in Melbourne a couple of days ago talking about how he's going to go look at venues because he's going to fight in Australia, right? That's where he wants to fight next, right? Apparently. Now, is he just gassing up the Australians? I don't know, right? Is he just saying these things? I don't know. But Fury's Fury. He was out there supporting Parker. Parker fought some dude. I don't even know who he is, but won by first round stoppage. But I don't know what to make of the other guy. I can't figure the guy out. I just can't. So is he going to fight Mr. McKean? Is it McKean?
Demsey McKean, yeah.
McKean, is he going to fight him in Australia? I don't know. But as long as I get the Usyk fight, I'll add that caveat. If I get the Usyk fight later in the year, I'm whatever about it, right? Will he do SummerSlam? I don't know, right? Like I mean, because I just don't know what this guy. I didn't think he was going to get in the ring the first time, and he did. He got in a boxing ring and he won by knockout in a wrestling match, right? So I don't know. It's whatever, but that's all I got, man. I can't figure the guy out. I don't know what he's going to do.
Dave, is Fury going to SummerSlam?
Is he going to? Well, you know what? They got a huge audience. Why not, right? He's very successful when he goes over there. A lot of the professional boxers have had success, including Mayweather over there. But you know what? I would like to see him fight Andy Ruiz Jr. this summer. I know Andy Ruiz Jr. flirted with the idea that he was a promotional free agent. There was some clarification. But if you want to prepare for a smaller guy, and Tyson Fury has had problems with smaller guys with fast hands, why not give the former Mexican-American heavyweight champ an opportunity? And it's a great stay busy fight. And, Andy Ruiz could show up in shape and give Tyson Fury some trouble. It's a great opportunity for everybody this summer to have something to look forward to. If it's around the WWE date, they can use that to piggyback and promote the event and lead us into a very, very eventful September for Mexican-American fight fans.
Okay. All right. Well, got the last fight of the weekend that we're going to talk about here, and that is Michael Conlon versus Luis Alberto Lopez, which is another firecracker of a fight. And I'm having a tough time with this one myself. Dave, who you got here?
You go with me first?
All right, back to you.
All right, listen. He's fantastic. El Venato's a fantastic guy. He's the guy who's not supposed to be there, right? He comes into Top Rank during the bubble as an opponent, and he pretty much really hurts. He hurts Andy Vences, El Tiburon from San Jose, a local guy that I'm very fond of, right? He's coming in as an opponent. He hurts him very badly. He picks up a very tight win, but he picks up a win. Then he goes on to defeat Gabe Flores at 130 pounds, a guy who's a highly touted prospect that Bob Arum had everything invested in the young kid, but picked him up at 17 years old, a guy with national titles as an amateur, takes care of another prospect. Finally, Bob's like, man, this is a guy, this is something special. I've come across a Mexicali fighter who's not an opponent. This is a world-class title challenger, and now he moves down in weight, goes across the seas, and he makes it happen, man. Now he's a featherweight champion of the world. He's a guy who's really not supposed to be there. Mick Conlan, on the other hand, completely opposite. This is a guy who's been to the Olympics twice, right? Almost gotten the gold twice. This is the epitome of a highly touted amateur. And as a professional, we've seen him. When he sticks to the game plan, he can be very successful. When he doesn't, he gets himself in trouble. He's perfect for El Venado Lopez to dismantle the nonstop pressure. Will it make him fold? I don't know, man, because Mick Conlan's got the benefit of fighting in his own land with a tremendous following in Ireland and fighting on his turf. So this may be where El Venado Lopez, the train suddenly comes to a complete stop, or El Venado Lopez could stop him in the later rounds. Could stop him. Mick Conlan's going to have to fight the perfect fight, stick to the game plan, use all the experience he's ever had to pull this off. And I think either way, it's going to be great because now Top Rank will have international champions. They have a champion from Cuba who won gold. They'll have Mick Conlon. And then they'll, it's great for Top Rank. However, that being said, from Salinas, California, our boy Ruben Villa recently signed a 3-fight deal. Ruben Villa is a guy who's a highly respected national champion and as an amateur with 2 wins over Shakur Stevenson. He resoundingly beat Alberto Lopez on Showbox years back in 2018. On Showbox, took care of the guy easily. Mick Conlan needs to pay close attention to how Ruben Villa outboxed Alberto Lopez, and he could be world champion. If he fights the way he did, where he was knocked out in the 12th round, it's going to be the same thing. He's going to get lights out stoppage on Saturday night. But this is going to be a great fight. It really can be a 50-50 toss-up. But in this one, I'm going to have to favor Alberto Lopez. The pressure will be too much, and Mick Conlan will fold.
Okay. D-Style, Mick Conlan's got the home court advantage here, but will that work against him? Will he try to fight for the crowd? And like Dave said, maybe make the mistake?
When you watch the Christmas Carol, there's 3 ghosts. Okay, the ghost of Christmas, past, present, and future. Right? He's going to be haunted by the ghost of Christmas past as he remembers that the knockout he suffered at the hands of Leigh Wood when Vasyl Lopez keeps that pressure on his ass. That's what's going to happen. Right. And he's going to look like the ghost of Christmas future to him. Right. I'm telling you right now. Right. The ghost of Christmas futures he's already shown me with the result. If Vasyl Lopez is coming out on top, shout out to Ruben Villa, by the way. Right. I actually picked him to beat Navarrete. It didn't go my way, but his win over Vasyl Lopez is one of the reasons I was so high on Villa. Right. But listen to me. Vasyl Lopez is going to pressure Conlan. Conlan's not going to be able to take it. Conlan will bend the knee in this fight. Okay? He will bend the knee at least once in this fight. He ain't going to take the pressure. It ain't going to happen. All right? He may be up on the scorecards after the first 5 or 6 rounds, but I think Vasyl Lopez takes over. Vasyl Lopez has underrated hand speed, really quick with his hands. Okay? Underrated foot speed, really quick with his feet, and underrated boxing skill. Right? And plus, he's going to bring all that Mexican heart with him. He's been on a tear lately. All right, he went over to Leeds and he just snatched that shit from Warrington. Snatched it. He's like I'm going to take it. I'm coming to your fortress. That Warrington called it his fortress. Right, and he walked out of his fortress. He walked in and he walked out. And guess what he's going to do this time? You think you got a fortress? No, you don't. There's a movie called, and I'll end it with this point, Apocalypto. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but the Mayan Empire, when they would prey on the smaller tribes and stuff. Now, not a very accurate film, by the way. I'm just putting that out there. It's not historically accurate, but that aside, okay, the Spanish don't show up anywhere near the time of the Mayans. I'm just saying, okay, Mel Gibson, all right. But with that said, all right, with all that aside, one of the natives by the Mayan tribesmen calls him almost, because he almost got away several times. Almost. And he nicknamed him almost just to mock him about how you were so close. You almost got away, but you didn't. You know what I mean? He called him almost. That's going to be Conlan's nickname. Almost.
Wow, you're mocking him.
Almost there, Conlan. You almost beat Wood. You almost did it, but you didn't. You almost beat Vasyl Lopez. You almost won a gold medal twice. Almost. But you couldn't do it. You almost got it against El Venado, but you just couldn't do it. Bro, I love the Buffalo Bills. They're my team. He's like the Buffalo Bills of the featherweight division. You know what I mean? He ain't quite going to get it, right? But now Lopez going to let him just touch the brass ring, and then he's going to snatch it away, right? Almost. I got Vasyl Lopez, and then I want to see Maurico Lara, Vasyl Lopez. That's a fight of the year candidate if I've ever seen one. They got to do it later in the year.
That was pretty glum. Remind me to never hire you to do motivational speeches for me. But Cholo, what's going on, man? Is D-Style right here or what?
Oh man, yeah, he's right about Apocalypto and the movies. Definitely. Listen, man, this is great, dog. Man, shouts to the Fighting Irish, man. I love their fan base. They're gonna be there. It's gonna be badass, man. Okay, so when it comes to Vasyl Lopez, his loss to Ruben Villa was actually in 2019, in the middle of 2019. Let me go ahead and say this about Vasyl Lopez, man. Since the beginning of 2019, going up to this weekend, this is going to be his 13th fight. 13 fights from 2019 to 2023, the middle of 2023, by the way. And by the way, that is also through the whole shutdowns of the whole COVID thing. This guy is so damn active. Can other fighters please take a page of Vasyl Lopez, man? Because when he lost to Ruben Villa, that was in the month of May, I believe. And guess what? He fought 2 more times that same year after that loss. But now Lopez, man, is cut from a different cloth. I'm not saying Mick Conlon isn't. This guy, his pedigree, man, with fighting in the Olympics and all, he's a true warrior as well, man. I love this. I love what these guys are doing. Ultimately, I got Vasyl Lopez winning this fight. I think it's going to be one hell of a damn fight. And for anybody and everybody watching, look, so many people, just want to watch the mega fights, right? The Pacquiao Mayweather, I guess if you want to throw it in there, the Tank and Ryan, now we got the Crawford-Spence. Promote these fights that are going to happen this Saturday, because these are the fights that don't really get a big spotlight for, the casuals, I guess. But man, these are the bangers, homes, that everybody should be watching. These are the ones that are really giving us great fights and telling us this is why you love boxing. This is why you're here, because this is what we're doing right here. What's happening this Saturday. This is why you love boxing. And I'm all in, man. But shout outs to all the Irish. Shout outs to Mick Conlon. I give them all the props in the world. But yeah, I got Vasyl Lopez.
Shout out to D-Style. The $2 super chat says Michael almost Conlon. All right. Wave, this one's a little tougher to break down. What do you got here?
Feel like I'm gonna be that guy tonight. I've been thinking about this fight, and I've been watching Lopez, and I've gone back. I watched the Vince's fight. Actually, though, he lost that one. I thought Vince's pulled it out stronger at the end, and Lopez lost that one. But he's been on a good run. He's been fighting 2-3 times a year. I think this is going to be a tougher fight for him stylistically, because Warrington, I never thought he was that good going backwards. I think he's a guy that kind of likes to blitz you and jump in and throw combinations. Conlan is a guy that is great at timing, and he has power. He can switch. I think he's a good counter puncher. I think the problem I have with Lopez, and I said this before the Warrington fight, is that his chin, sometimes when he throws his combos, his chin is all up in the air, and I think Conlan might catch him. I think the biggest thing about Conlan is obviously how is he going to deal with pressure in the later rounds. I think the further the fight goes, the more favor is going to go for Lopez. Conlan against Wood, obviously we saw what happened in that fight. Conlan definitely punched himself out trying to stop Wood very early because he had him hurt. I think if he plays his cards a little smarter here, I definitely think he can win the fight. But again, Lopez is going to pressure him. I didn't bring up the Vince's fight, but I liked how Lopez was strong in the later rounds, even against Warrington. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get burned out so easily. So with that being said, it's probably going to be the best fight of the weekend for sure. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the best fight. Lara and Wood is going to be a good fight for the amount of time that it lasts. But this one, for them, it's going to be a good fight all the way through. Both good boxers, good counter punchers. It's going to be a way better fight than the Warrington fight. No headbutts, none of that. If you're not into this fight, I know everybody's talking about Spence and Bud and Haney and stuff. This is going to be the best fight of the weekend, bar none. All right, but I'm leaning towards Conlan pulling it out.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm kind of leaning Conlan too. Danny, what do you got here, brother? You're on mute, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, I saw Shoeshine was saying, you know, he went to he went to, where is it? He went to a guy's backyard. Sorry, yeah, Josh Warrington's backyard, and managed to get the win, but he's not sure he'll be able to do it in Ireland. I think he can get a decision in Ireland because we've seen Chantelle Cameron get a decision out in Ireland. Lopez, I'm not too familiar with him. I did see the Warrington fight, but over here in the UK, because the biggest fight over here this weekend is Lawrence Okoli versus Chris Billum-Smith. I'll be working at that one. But I think kind of like what D-Style said, Colin's one of those guys who's, we've got a phrase over here, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And I think he'll just come up short in this one again, unfortunately.
Wow.
You thought I was harsh. Man.
I don't know, man. I hope Conlan's not watching this, man. This isn't going to help him going into that fight. I'll tell you that right now. Base, be the voice of reason here, man. What's going on? How do you think this fight's going to play out?
Conlan flat on his back.
Uh-oh. That was pretty easy.
Yo,
I mean,
you guys gonna just leave me alone, man.
Man, that was very
smoke.
Base is like, what? Base is like, is this even a question?
Wow.
No,
I'm gonna
look,
have nightmares.
so some context. So initially I was thinking, no, I reckon Conlan could probably do this on points. And he is pretty, to be fair to him, he is quite disciplined. Like, he will follow the game plan, he'll listen to his instructions and listen to his corner. But he's another guy, and it's the Adam Booth effect, right? All of those fighters are fast starters. They all fight in a certain style that is very like fast twitch, you know, sort of basically front heavy, explosive in every movement that you do. Lopez will hang with him in those first rounds, and then by the time it gets to round 7 or 8, like, the pressure, Conlan, he's just going to be in almost survival mode, trying to last to the end to try and see out a victory. And I can just see him doing something where he gets himself basically knocked out again. Maybe he throws when he shouldn't. Maybe he backs up onto the ropes and tries to fight off the ropes like he's done before. And he always leaves. Every time I've seen him on the ropes, he always leaves a certain gap in every single fight, whether it's exploited or not. I always see it. And this is me. So someone like Venado, who's going to just be throwing in combination, and he's going to be throwing hell for leather from round 1 to round 12. I just don't think Conlan's going to be able to survive it ultimately. And yeah, it's another KO defeat.
So do you think like Lopez has that one hitter quitter like Lara does though?
No, he doesn't. But
that's what I'm saying.
But he throws more punches than Lara does. So it's the constant pressure. And if he catches you with the first one, that might rock you. The second one's gonna catch you as well. Then the third one, and then he's just gonna be relentless. And we've already seen that, you know, Conlan has an off switch, and we know where that off switch is. You think within one of Lopez's flurries, he's not going to be able to find it? I see him, you know, taking a nap.
So you like how he puts his shots together. Okay, I got you.
Leigh Wood doesn't have that big one, and he knocked him out of the ring, bro. Yeah, like, we thought it was dead. Like,
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know, thank God he wasn't.
Why are you putting all this negative energy out there in the world?
Leigh Wood looked, he wanted to cry because he thought he killed the guy.
Why are you gonna put that stuff out in the
Leigh Wood was
universe?
like, did he die? Is he okay? Like he was worried about the guy. He's not a big puncher.
Show some compassion, please. All right.
Wood is a little traumatized from that knockout, man, and he's the one that did the knocking out. So that is pretty bad.
I would say though that Leigh Wood is a puncher though. He is a big puncher, to be fair.
He's a sharp puncher.
The knockout ratio doesn't show that. I'll just say that.
his hair gives him the power, man. But who has a better chance of going the distance, Conlan or Wood?
Oh, Conlan.
Conlan, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, Conlan.
I think Conlan edges this out. I think Conlan's got a great pair of legs. Like I said, I think he's going to go in and out. I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be able. Oh my God! You have to go left now too with that stuff. Please, you guys, you're all over the place. Where's your minds?
Just be
All right,
happy I didn't mention what we heard earlier on. And me and Danny both caught it, and we were laughing with our mics muted.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Another soundbite I would have had for a short, huh? Oh God. But yeah, I just think that his footwork is.
They're not going to model, B. What do you mean he's got a nice pair of legs? They were walking down the walkway, the runway.
Danny, you see what they're doing to me, man? See what they're doing to me,
it's infectious.
It is.
Yeah, he's not going to go.
He's got legs.
He's
he
not going into
how to use them.
Yeah, Beeb,
he's got legs.
Yeah, Beeb. He's not going into the Laoya's wardrobe, man, to model, man.
I just think this guy's got quick feet, and I think he's got good footwork, and I think he can outmaneuver Lopez in this fight, in my opinion. But we'll see.
He's got the tools. He's got the tools.
Yeah. You can see either guy winning. All right, guys, that'll do it. Thanks to everyone on the panel. Thanks to everyone in the chat. And thanks to everyone watching live. We will see you next week. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Peace. Right. Gracias.